Welcome to Building Codes. Today we will be discussing the essentials of egress and fire protection. This particular episode comes from the OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It's from their point of view. What is egress and fire protection? The objectives we want to see is what could make employees need to escape quickly? What are the typical escape routes? And what precautions are taken for fire protection and prevention? The objectives include what's new in what is a fire protection engineer? So it's a new sort of occupation that shows up. We're going to introduce OSHA 29. We're going to discuss egress, fire protection from the OSHA view. We're going to look at the escape routes, and then emergency action plans, and how all this ties together with the International Building Code. The fire protection engineer's unique position to understand how these items work together and achieve fire safety goals, and therefore work to coordinate them. So within a building, there might be a facilities department, and a subset of the facilities department is the egress fire protection officer. These regulations are coming from 29 CFR section 7, which is equal to the IBC, and talking about topics such as the fire protection and prevention. Let's first look at every employer is covered, except mobile workspaces such as vehicles or vessels. We need to have escape routes. We need to have emergency action plans. There are some key definitions that appear in these sections. The first being an exit, exit access, exit discharge. An exit is the portion of an exit route that is generally separated from other areas to provide a protected way of travel to the exit discharge. The exit access is that portion of an exit route that leads to an exit. Exit discharge, the part of an exit route that leads directly outside or to a street, walkway, refuge area, public way, or open space with access to the outside. The exit route is a continuous and unobstructed path of exit travel from any point within a workspace to a place of safety, including the refuge areas. It's these parts, the exit access, the exit, and the exit discharge. So they're taking a long look and calling everything exit. It depends on what point in time you are. This is equivalent to the means of egress in the Life Safety Code and most local building and fire codes. It's in compliance with NFPA, the National Fire Code, being in compliance with these code books. There's a network of fire safety related interrelationships between structural fire protection, architectural layout, mechanical, HVAC, plumbing systems, fire suppression systems, electrical features, fire alarm detection, and control systems. All of these come under control of design construction requirements for exit routes. A fire protection engineer can serve as a liaison between these disciplines. Today's feature is really talking about piquing your interest in becoming a fire protection engineer. You will study requirements. The exit route must be a permanent part of the workspace, whether it be from the vertical down. How will our folks get out of this building in case of a fire? What is their motion of travel? Or are there other alternatives? This one has no ropes or no rope ladders. Exits separated by fire resistant materials. Construction materials used to separate an exit from other parts of the workspace. We looked at this. We've been talking about having passive fire systems, which is in our walls, to give us 1 hour resistance or 2 hours resistance so that we can safely have time to leave the building. Openings into an exit must be limited. Openings into an exit limited to those necessary to allow access to the exit. Each opening must be protected by a approved self-closing fire door that remains closed or automatically closes in an emergency. At least 2 routes must be available. Except for sufficiently small occupancy or are far away from each other as practical, in one case is blocked by smoke or fire, more than 2 required if all cannot safely evacuate through 2 exit routes, which this would be what is your fire load capacity. And the Life Safety Code can help with this determination. Here's an example floor plan that shows a life safety path. It must lead directly outside to a street, walkway, refuge area, public way, or open space with access to the outside. So the final part is the discharge of the exit discharge. There's exit access. You can see that the storage, offices, and all fabricating shop are leading into a hallway. The hallway is marked with these dotted lines. The street, walkway, refuge area, public way, or open space to which an exit discharge leads must be large enough to accommodate the building occupants likely to use the exit route. So you'll always see an open space in modern buildings, and it could even be the parking lot directly outside. Exit stairs that continue beyond the level of the exit discharge must be interrupted at that level by doors, partitions, and other effective means that clearly indicate the direction of travel leading to the exit discharge. So clearly blocked off. Sometimes when you get to the bottom ground floor, if there's a basement, which happens up north, you'll have that gated off. And also, if you're headed into storage, that should be clearly on your sign. The exit door must be unlocked. You must be able to open the exit route door from the outside at all times, without keys, tools, or special knowledge. You can also use the panic bar. No device or alarm that could restrict the use of route if device fails. Mental, penal, correctional facilities are the exception with constant supervision and the plan. A hinge side exit door must be used. The hinge side door must be used to connect any room to an exit route. It must swing out in the direction of exit travel. Room is designed for greater than 50 people, or a room is a high hazard. So swinging out is important. And as these dump out into lower levels, the capacity of an exit route must be adequate. Must support the maximum permitted occupant load for each floor served. So if you go into a stadium, you'll see that the stairs down leads to bigger and bigger openings on your way out. See factors for occupant load and capacity in the Life Safety Code, Chapter 7. The capacity of an exit route must be adequate. Here is our minimum 54 inches clearance to allow enough people to get down, and then there also must be, it terminates on a handrail, and the handrail has to be a certain amount of distance to the wall. The exit route capacity may not decrease toward exit discharge. It can only increase. The exit minimum height and width requirements. This is a common measurement we look for as builders and designers. The ceiling must be at least 7 feet 6 inches. Any projection from the ceiling which is greater than or equal to 6 foot 8 inches, and the exit access greater than 28 inches wide, including all objects projecting into the route. The most important thing is the route must be clear and free from obstructions. An outdoor exit route is permitted. Same minimum height and width. Additional requirements are that guardrails on unenclosed sides. Covered in snow or ice is likely to accumulate unless the snow is removed before the hazard. Reasonably straight, smooth, solid, level walkways, and no dead end longer than 20 feet. What is the maintenance, safeguards, and operational facilities for exit routes? Danger to the employee must be minimized. Exit routes must be kept free of explosive or highly flammable furnishings or decorations. No exit route may lead toward a high hazard area unless shielded. We looked last week at an example of the fireproof glass that may be used. Nothing that can cause a thermal heat to transfer outside of that wall or protective device. The danger must be minimized. You can't stress enough. Sometimes you get shipments and things are piled up in front of the door, but this is against the law. Exit routes must be free and unobstructed. No materials, equipment may be placed within the exit route. Exit access must not go through a room that can be locked, and safeguards must be kept in working order. No way out from the Dr. Scholl's and the toilet paper is covering our exit. We're in trouble. Lighting and marking must be adequate and appropriate. Here's a decoration over our exit sign. Illegal. Exit routes must be adequately lighted, clearly visible, and marked by a sign reading exit. No decorations or signs that obscure the visibility of the exit route door. So that's off limits to our decorator. There's also a condition that you may have a lot of tools, equipment that's in the route. Lighting and marking must be adequate and appropriate. If the direction of travel to the exit is not immediately apparent, signs must be posted indicating the direction of travel to the nearest exit. A line of sight to an exit sign must be clearly visible at all times. The way to the exit is not apparent in this picture. There can be confusion. Valuable time could be lost. Lighting and marking must be adequate and appropriate. There's a whole branch of just graphics that pertain to creating your exit passageways. Each doorway or passage that could be mistaken for an exit must be marked not an exit. So the not is important as well as the actual. Or a similar designation may be identified by a sign indicating its actual use, which is a closet. Each exit sign must be illuminated to the surface value of at least 5-foot candles, 54 lux, by a reliable light source and be distinctive in color. The word exit is plainly legible in letters, 6 inches or greater, and letters 3 1/4 inch thick. Employees must not occupy a workspace until the exit routes are ready in occupied portion. The building is fully occupied. Exit access enclosure doors wedged open. Magnetic self-closing devices are not installed. So this is also a dangerous situation. Employees must not be exposed to hazards from construction activities that are beyond normal permissible conditions that would impede exiting the workspace. A contractor is coming in here and the supplies are stored in the exit stair shafts. So they're trying to hide their mess, but they're putting it in the wrong place. And the alarm system must be installed and maintained in operable condition to warn of fire and other emergencies. Unless employees can properly see or smell the fire or hazard in time and must comply with 1910.165. We'll continue with emergency action plans, things that we think about beforehand before the situation starts. Emergency action plan has to be done in writing. You get together with your group, your life safety committee, and it's kept in the workplace and it's available for employees to review. The employer with 10 or fewer employees may communicate the plan orally to the employees. But the most important document is the floor plan with the way of exit clearly defined on each room. And here we can see that they progress to different exits. Some go through the main hallway, some through the back, and then there's some in-between areas right here, the dividing line of where the two, to get our minimum ratio of exit travel. A closer look. The primary exit and the secondary exit are noted. Area of refuge, looks like they have a little pocket here and a pocket here. What's the least you can do? What's the minimum? There are procedures for reporting a fire or other emergency, procedures for emergency evacuation, including the type of evacuation and the exit route assignments, procedures for employees who remain to operate critical plant operations before evacuating, procedures to account for all employees after evacuation, a roll call, procedures to be followed by employees performing rescue or medical duties, and the name or job title of every employee who may be contacted by employees who need more information about the plan. Since the bombing of the World Trade Center in 93, well, 9/11, but 93, the Alfred Murat Federal Building in 95, most recently the events, the threat of terrorism in the United States is ever-increasing concern. United States citizens as well as emergency responders can no longer take our safety for granted. So they are going into other areas not originally envisioned by the fire plan. The threats that are part of our current world, of course, preparing for terrorism, chemical threats, biological threats, radiological threats, nuclear threats, explosive threats, and also more closely related is identifying suspicious packages and envelopes and the handling of such. The alarm system must use distinctive symbols for each purpose. You must designate and train employees to assist in safe, orderly evacuation of others. Review the plan with each employee. When a plan was developed or an employee assigned. When an employee's responsibilities under the plan change, when the plan changes. Fire prevention plans. There are written and oral fire prevention plans. Any required fire prevention plan must be in writing, kept in the workplace, made available for employee to review. This is actually true of all things OSHA. So just put that into your mind. Writing, kept at the workplace, and available for review. A list of major fire hazards that can happen. It's called an inventory. The proper handling and storage procedures for hazardous materials, potential ignition sources and their control, and the type of fire protection equipment necessary to control each hazard. You can see where facilities has its hands busy, right? So they always have a lot to do. The facilities teams, usually about 5 people who govern a campus or can govern one building, and they keep track of all the things that can go wrong. 9.10, the procedures for control accumulations of flammable and combustible waste, the maintenance procedures for safeguards on heat-producing equipment to prevent the ignition of combustion materials, which also means that you have to be sure that you watch your machines, make sure nothing's getting out of hand. Name or title of employee responsible for maintaining the equipment to prevent or control sources of ignition or fires, and the name or title of employees responsible for the control of fuel source hazards. An employer must inform employees upon the initial assignment to a job of fire hazard to which they are exposed. An employer must also review with each employee those parts of the fire prevention plan necessary for self-protection. And we've reached the end of this set of slideshows. In the future, we may practice our creating an exit plan they look like something like this. And one that's completely drafted up will be, we can always base our work on an existing floor plan. And this concludes our discussion for today.